to the morning talk with Nachma Kota. We apologize for the delay. There was just a problem linking up to our guest who is speaking to us directly from Uzbekistan. I didn't tell you what we're talking about in the first hour of the show, in the first half hour of the show, because I just wanted you to know that this is very, very special in our travel segment. So Uzbekistan is a Central Asian nation and former Soviet republic. It's known for its mosques, mausoleums, and other sites linked to the Silk Route, the ancient trade route between China and the Mediterranean. Samarkand, a major city on the route, contains a landmark of architecture. But we know with our guest this morning, we speak to tour operator Mrs. Solamat directly from Uzbekistan, who's going to give us more insight about this country and how Ramadan is. And not just Ramadan, but of course the rich history of this Islamic country, this Muslim country who gained its independence 30 years ago. And because we are in the holy month of Ramadan, we will be focusing more on the spirit of Ramadan in these countries and the lifestyle in these countries. So it gives me great pleasure now to invite our special guest, Mrs. Solamat. Are you there?
Yes. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very glad to see you and to hear you. So, and it's amazing that we can talk with you. I am being in Central Asia and you are being in the south of Africa, and we can see each other and talk with each other. So it's great, I think.
Absolutely. And it gives me great pleasure to be talking about the country that we're visiting today through your eyes and ears.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
We had a very interesting chat before we went live on air, and you gave me quite a bit of information on the rich history, which is where I think I'd like to start with, for you to start with. You spoke about the sciences, you spoke about the rich culture, the history, specifically Islamic history.
Yeah. So, you know, when my children were young, I told them that Islam was born in Saudi, but as science it was developed in our country because there lived a lot of very educated people, very educated scholars, and they made Islam as a science. You know, they wrote a lot of books about it, and they collected hadith, and they are very famous, these scholars like Bukhari, like Sufi Bahadur Naqshband, and many other like At-Tirmizi and many others. So there were a lot of them, and they of course left their books, their works to the other people, to our Islamic world. And they were born here. They studied in Bukhara, in Samarkand, and especially Bukhara was famous with its schools, with its madrasa, with its mosques, and a lot of people went there to study. And later they went to Baghdad, they went to Iraq, to Iran, to get their education, to
right.
and like
so
you know.
how well preserved is this history? You know, it's the ancient Silk Route with well preserved mosques and historic buildings. As we look at it now, if we look at the pictures and the videos on this beautiful country, we see that it is very well preserved. How can a Muslim tourist then appreciate this history apart from just looking at the buildings? And
we appreciate our history very much, and you know, these architectural buildings were mostly built in the times of Chamberlain the Great, because he brought from the world, like from Iran, from Iraq, the architects, and they helped them. But people who come from that country, they say that these monuments, these historical monuments, are better than in their country. I haven't been there, but it seems to me that they're really great because uh, any time of the day when you go there in the morning, they look different. In the daytime,
Wow.
they look different. In the evening, they look different. And anytime when I visit Samarkand or Bukhara, when I see these places, and they look totally different, maybe because of the sun or because of the light, but every time they look different and they're very, very beautiful, really.
hmm Now, these covered religious schools specifically, like the Registan, a plaza. It has these amazing ornate mosaic covered, walls.
Yeah,
And these schools dated back to the 15th and 17th century. Can
you're
is
right.
that perhaps a museum, besides the fact that we have these architectural monuments that
Yes.
represent the history?
Yes, they are architectural monuments, but they used to be like madrasa. It's like high school, and a lot of scientists, world famous scientists, at that time they studied there, and they were invited. A lot of scientists from other Muslim countries, and they taught there. They were invited even from Greece and Rome, and that is why a lot of scientists in the field of mathematics, of astronomy, and medicine grew there, and they made their scientific discoveries. They wrote their books, and like Avicenna, and he was born in Bukhara, and but the whole world knows him. And after his books, in Europe, they cured people, for a long time, and
Mhm.
and but they studied here and they lived here. They were born here in this country.
Right. So, in terms
Wow.
of the richness of the sciences, the Islamic sciences that to this day we are benefiting from, how
Mhm.
is the Uzbekistani Muslim benefiting from that? In other words, do you still have that legacy that your country so fondly holds? Have you continued with that historical
Sure, sure.
relation?
Well, as we are just 30 years independent, but it's not such a long time. But since then, since we are independent, a lot of Islamic schools are built, and there is now Islamic Academy is being built now, and there are high schools where students can study, and they have built a lot of mosques. During Soviet time, a lot of mosques were destroyed and they didn't work. And in some madrasas, they just were closed and nobody could go there. But now it's totally different. In all communities, we have new mosques, and people build themselves even new mosques. The
Hmm.
communities, and
Hmm.
it's so people can go and pray there. But in Soviet time, people couldn't go there to mosques and pray. But now, 5 times a day, they can pray, and it's free, like, so
Hmm.
they can do it well. So,
Right.
and of course, and people are glad that we can do it. So we can follow our ancestors.
Mhm. As a tour
Wow.
operator, what is
Mhm.
your main focus? Because you obviously don't only have Muslim visitors. What would you
Mhm.
encourage your tourists to your country to visit? There's so much. I think we'd need a lot of time for that, but
Yes.
to stay. But what would your main focus be in terms of being a tour operator?
Uh-huh. Well, our country is multinational country and multi-religious country. So there are all religions in our country, and we all live free. So there are no conflicts between the different religions. Like in some countries, uh, they all the time have some problems with the people of other religions. But in our country, it is not so. So the people live free, and we have mosques, and we have churches, and we have like um, Christian Orthodox churches uh, and, um, and some others, and
Right.
there are Jewish people, who go to their synagogue. Well,
Mm,
this country is the cradle of Buddhism as well as
mhm.
in
Interesting.
around the Termes, and now around Termes they were found a lot of monuments which belong to Buddhism, and the Buddhism was born in this place. But
Mhm.
then all the population, so were Muslims. Then
Right.
later, of course, and that is why. But people um, don't have any. So they are friendly with other religions as well. So
Mhm.
people of more than 100 nationalities live in our country, and we live in peace with all of them.
Mhm.
And but Muslim people are more, of course, and
Right.
recently I had the guest from United States, and when she came back to her country, she called me and she cried even. She told that she cannot live more in her country. She would like to come back here, and she's a
Mm.
young girl.
So
She
what would you
recently
say?
graduated. Well,
Yeah.
and she said that she liked most of our people here,
Mm.
and she told that this kind of people she didn't meet in United States, and she would like to come back and live here and stay here. Well,
Mhm.
maybe
Yeah.
she's right.
Yes, of course. I
Well,
think when
well,
one visits a country, it's about the
mhm,
culture, it's about the history, but it's a
mhm,
lot about the people. And
mhm.
I think that's, of course, what's drawn her. So, what would you say is there are so many attractions that I'm sure it's very difficult for you to point out particular ones, but how would you
Mhm.
invite people to your country to visit?
Well, people who are invited to our country, they can come and see not only like so historical monuments, which are very beautiful and which are really amazing, but they can visit visit the old cities and new ones like Bukhara, Samarkand. They are very old. They are more than
Mm,
2,000 years old. Like
mm,
Samarkand is, so they say that it is more than 2070, 2,750 years old. Like Bukhara is
mm,
2,050 years old,
mhm.
But you can see the new, places and the new buildings here. And now there are built a lot of constructions. There are a lot of constructions which are high buildings, modern buildings, and at the same time you can see the old ones. Then you can enjoy the food here,
I was
because
about to
yes,
ask you about the food. Yeah.
food is very, very delicious. All people who come here, they say, even Europeans, they say that, oh, your food is too heavy for us. Like they are a lot of them are vegetarians. So if they are vegetarians, they can choose vegetarian food, and
Mhm.
but our food is very delicious because it is organic. Well,
Mm.
and
Mm.
fruits are very tasty. We have a lot of sun. The country is hot, and even in winter we have fresh fruits and fresh vegetables, and the food itself is very, very, really very tasty. All people
Yeah.
who come here, they are very glad with our food, and they say the food is really so.
Mhm.
They when they come, they say we can come only to have tasty food,
Mm. Well,
even
Mrs.
to
Solamat,
have food. Yeah.
uh-huh. Well, just based on this very little time that we had to spend about talking about Uzbekistan,
Yeah.
I can see the warmth, the love,
Mhm.
and the richness that
Mhm.
the country has just by the way you talk about it. So not
Yes,
just its
thank you.
people, its rich
Yeah.
history, its
I
food.
didn't speak about the traditions, our traditions.
Ah,
So
yes.
about our about our theater. We have very, very beautiful, very good special our national theater we have, and our actors And so it's I think that it will be very interesting to visit just the concert, our national concert, our dances, they are very colorful, our
Uh-huh.
national dress. And then besides that, as it was in our country is what on crossroad of the Silk Road, so China
Yes.
and Europe. So
Mm-hmm.
we have our special silk, our national silk,
Mm-hmm.
and it is this kind of silk not produced in China, not in Japan, not in Europe, only in Uzbekistan, which is called Han Atlas. So we
Mm-hmm.
have Han Atlas, we have Adras, which is natural,
Mm-hmm.
and it is pure silk, but we have the fabric which is pure cotton, and they are very really good fabric because they are warm in winter and very nice, and you feel comfortable in summer. The
Right.
fabric
So,
is.
so we haven't even spoken about the shopping. I'm so excited, I hope we've got the excitement of our viewers and listeners as well on this
Yeah.
amazing country that's so worth visiting. The shopping, I'm sure it's have you still got the old traditional dressing
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we could,
We
yeah?
have national dresses, and um, especially during wedding time, the young, girls wear our national dresses, and they are pure silk, and they're very beautiful, really, really
Mm,
beautiful.
I'm sure.
And our weddings are very beautiful and very unusual. So of course, there is the girls like to wear European clothes, of course, the white clothes, but we have our national dresses as well, you know.
Mhm,
I think it
mhm,
was very interesting for you to see people, just to meet with them, just to talk. People are very friendly. So one I can say that our friendship with the other people, that during the Second World War, so a lot of from the European part of the former Soviet Union, a lot of people were moved to uh, our country. So there were a lot of refugees then, and uh, in the population of Tashkent, it was 900,000 people, just, you know, and at that time, so there were 1 million refugees, and all families received them, and they gave them everything, not only shelter, the food, they gave them everything
mhm,
and no one child was in the orphan house, so the
mhm,
families have taken them, so they
mhm,
uh, help them
mhm,
to save their
mhm,
lives
mhm.
to
It
live
goes
here.
right. It goes without saying that there's so much to learn. Um, just listening to you, I'm sure there's just so much more to learn. Like I said, I just want to quickly close off with the spirit of Ramadan and how is it in Uzbekistan? Are there certain traditions that you carry out? Of course, the universal tradition of our iftar and suhoor, etc. But what is
Yeah.
special about Ramadan in Uzbekistan?
Uh, what is special? I don't know what is in your country, but what is in our country. So people invite to iftar um, their relatives or their friends. We are going to do next week as well. So they talk with each other and say when will they invite, because they should know. So when will be their turn, and they invite. Then people, the neighbors, when they prepare something, some tasty food, they share with each other. Last night, my neighbors brought me a lot of food. I had a lot of my guests because so just my children came to me, and when she saw that there were a lot of cars near my house, so she brought a lot of food, me knowing that I have guests that day, that evening, and and before um, before we say Hayid before the holiday. I don't know how do you call it. We say it
Mm-hmm.
Hayid.
Eid. Mm-hmm.
At the end, at the end of
Yes, Eid.
Ramadan. So
Eid
we
al-Fitr.
share, we prepare different kind of cookings, and we make our traditional palau, ash palau we call it. It is
Uh-huh.
from beef or or lamb and rice and carrots, and it's very, very tasty when you have it. So you will say, I'll stay in Uzbekistan and never go back home. All
All
people
right.
who have
We,
it, they
we
say
either
that it's
visit you,
very tasty.
right? We either
Well,
visit you
so,
for an iftar dinner or for Eid,
uh-huh.
one of the two, because besides everything else, I think you've just whet everyone's appetite on visiting
Mhm.
the country itself. Thank you so much for joining us
You're
this morning
welcome.
on the
And I
Mid
didn't
Morning
say
Talk.
that men can, then after iftar, men go to mosque to Tarawih. So this is the
Alhamdulillah, yes.
tradition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Ramadan Kareem to all of the Muslims in Uzbekistan from Salam Media,
Yeah.
and a very
Thank
special thank
you.
you
The
to you.
same to
And
you. The same to you.
thank you so much. And of course, to
Well,
yourself for giving us the time this morning on our show.
thank you.
Jazakumullah
Thank
khair.
you.
Assalamu alaikum wa
Well,
rahmatullah.
assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Salam. All right, after the break, we speak to, as I said, teacher at Redham House, Atlantic Seaboard, Adam Farrell. So we're looking forward to that in our education segment.